Distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you. Visit cloudsigma.com/thisweekin for a free $200 credit.
Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by New Relic. Use promo code TWIST and get a free month of New Relic Pro. To redeem, visit newrelic.com/thisweekin and see why thousands of developers worldwide don't deploy without it. And by SnapTerms, online legal protection made simple. Visit snapterms.com and enter the code TWIST to receive a free NDA with every order.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and this is This Week in Startups. It's a big news week. We had Apple missing their revenue for the quarter. Everybody's freaking out, and the stock is taking quite a haircut. Yahoo has acquired another company, Snip.it. I think that's the second acquisition for Marissa, and it looks like a good one. Microsoft has the new Surface coming out. Apple pulled the Make Me Asian Racist app, or is it racist? Let's talk about that. Microsoft's Q2 earnings were pretty good. Quora now has blogs. I don't know what that's about. Sergey Brin takes the subway and wears Google goggles when he does. That's just bizarre. And Twitter's Vine app is out, which was really kind of cool. And I played with it a bunch, and there's a lot of other things going on. So stick with us. Adeo Ressi of the Founders Institute is on the program. Rafe Needleman of Evernote, formerly of CNET, the editorial establishment that will not review products that are in legal limbo with Les Moonves. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's a very tired Jason Calacanis here for This Week in Startups. It's going to be an amazing news episode on the program. Rafe Needleman, of course, of Evernote, but you know him from Rafe's Radar and CNET, all those great years doing journalism, and now he's inside a startup. Adeo Ressi of the Founders Institute, the little accelerator that could now in dozens of cities around the world, graduating hundreds of companies a year. It's a real success story, and we'll hear about that in a bit. If you want to come to Twist Live, we tried to do this. We're always trying to level up the show. For whatever reason, like I'm sitting here exhausted. This is the stupidity of my life, and you've been witness to my life because you're in like 2 of the 8 chapters so far. But I get exhausted, and then I resent my life because I'm doing too much.
Right.
And then I catch up.
And then I bored.
And then I get bored. And then I create all these goals to do. And what happens?
You just repeat.
Yes. And then it just repeats itself. And I say, oh my God, we should do all these different things because I'm not. And this is the cycle of my life. This is a cycle of being an entrepreneur. You get bored. You create a bunch of work for yourself. And then you get resentful because, oh my God, you got to do all that work. And then you actually do it. And it's glorious. And one of those glorious things we've done is bringing This Week in Startups to you live. And we've done 2 of them. We had Jeff Clavier on the first, and then we had Phil Libin of Evernote. And boy, those 2 were just sensational, events. Just for me as an interviewer, you get so much more energy when you have the audience there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why you liked having someone in studio last week also.
Yeah, that was great. When we had Jeff came, superfan Jeff. So I just love, if you're a super fan of the program, by the way, and you ever want to come and sit in on an actual episode, you're free to do so. But those live episodes were great. Like 100 people came to the first, 200 people came to the second, and now it's just they fill up so quick.
We're just about sold out of the Dave McClure event.
And we're not tweeting that or anything. We're just telling you about it on the program. So go to twistlive3.eventbrite.com. There'll be 150 people there. RocketSpace is going to put out the expensive Italian sodas and the beautiful cheeses and sandwiches like they always do. Thank you to my friends at RocketSpace. And our guest is going to be Dave McClure. Twist Live, TWISTLIVE, the number 3.eventbrite.com, and you can get a ticket. And by the way, as you guys know, I'm always trying to take advantage of young entrepreneurs and take all their money. So the price is a whopping $2. $2. So if we get all 200 seats sold, we'll make $400.
It can be?
I think that my Southwest ticket costs 5 times that. So that's Twist Live. The launch festival is coming up March 4th, 5th, and 6th. The hackathon is the 2nd and 3rd, and it is booming. It's going great. We've got tons of sponsors. Google's involved. Microsoft's involved. Social Capital Partnership, Sequoia. Just everybody is, backing me up on this one, which I really appreciate because you're not really backing me up. You're backing up the 50 companies that are going to launch on stage and the 200 that'll be in the demo pit. And It's been a great week. We just gave a ton of free tables, like scholarships,
Yep,
to just really awesome companies, some Kickstarter companies,
Exactly.
and that's going pretty well.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
And how many of the 50 have we selected? We're almost up to 10?
Yep.
Okay, great. So we'll get the rest selected over the next couple of weeks. And if anybody, if we lost your application or any of those kind of things, you have questions, you can just email Kirin, Kirin, at launch.co. Not com.co. I got to get Marissa to give me the .com. Hey, New Relic, thank you for sponsoring the program. New Relic is an awesome monitor for real-time user experiences, code-level app performance, and server resources. Really great software. We use it for the launch ticker, and this weekend, pull up tab number 5. Boom, there you go. Here's our app server trace. We can track what's going on in the servers, and people like Skullcandy, Spotify, Nike, Zillow, and Vonage all trust their performance for their mission-critical apps to New Relic. I bet you a bunch of Founders Institute companies use it, and maybe even Evernote uses it. Who knows? But if you want X-ray vision into your web apps, if you want to know why they're fast or slow or somewhere in between, sign up today, and you'll get a free This Week in Startups shirt. And look, oh, by the way, this is the email I get. I get these like metrics for the launch ticker. And I look at it and I'm like, oh, look, we have 100% uptime. Good. I don't have to yell at anybody. Oh, wait a second. It's taking 2.28 seconds. That's too damn slow. And it's too damn slow because I came up with this stupid feature where you have to like see the people live. So probably to get rid of that. It'll be much faster. But anyway, at least it's up and running. And 2 seconds, it's a little bit of a problem. We'll fix that. But anyway, that started that discussion because New Relic tipped me off that my stupid idea that you see the people typing live.
Well, you liked that idea in the beginning.
I like it. Nobody else does. But that's part of like running a company, right? You
Right.
sort of figure out what people actually want. I suppose what you want. Go to newrelic.com/thisweekend. Newrelic.com/thisweekend. And look at that beautiful twist T-shirt that was designed by a super fan. I don't know which one, but he's got the samurai sword there, cutting the eye on the twist. Very good.
It's awesome. I actually got mine this week.
Oh, did you really?
I
That's
did.
interesting because I've got none of them. Thanks, guys, for looking out for.
Got asked Demont to get you one.
That's all right. That's all right. I don't expect anybody to be thinking about me around here. I think everybody's thinking about their jobs, which is what I want. Be focused on your work. All right, listen, it's been a big week, and of course, I like to have great guests on the program. We've leveled up. We get the best guests now, especially for the News Roundtable. Adeo Ressi is here from the Founders Institute. How you doing, my friend?
Very good.
You got your I Love New York. Hey, so how many cities, before we get started here, is the Founders Institute in now? I know it's some incredible number.
That's a very timely question. Earlier today, we hit number 40 this morning at maybe 10:30 a.m. So 40 cities worldwide.
Now, for people who don't know, the Founders Institute, how would you compare it to, say, Y-Combinator or TechStars or some of the other accelerators that the audience obviously knows, because they're very prominent?
A lot of people know the Founder Institute, especially when you leave America, but essentially, an easy comparison is we mine diamonds and a lot of the other programs make jewelry. So we find raw talent that have just an idea. They don't have a team, they don't have a business model, they have nothing. And we work with them and turn them into very successful entrepreneurs. And some of those people then go on and join TechStars or Y-Combinator. I think in the last few TechStars programs, about 20% of the people they admitted were Founder Institute graduates.
And now, was that your intention when you started it? I mean, when you started it, I remember it was sort of, it felt like it was going to be like TechStars, but I think you've sort of pivoted your way to this, right?
No, we were always the founder, we were always focusing on founders, and what we found is that when we get founders in the program, they don't have infrastructure, they don't have a company, they don't have a team, they don't have a product. So by the time they get all that, then they're ready for those later stage programs. So I don't think it was ever that we never felt competitive with TechStars, ever.
Yeah. But I mean, really, the number of, but I mean, it did allow you to scale much quicker because you're not having to fund the companies necessarily. You're really like training people how to be a founder.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that, allows us, we're much larger as a result. We're about 10 times larger than the next largest entity helping startups in the world today. We'll do about 1,000 companies this year. We'll help founders launch about 1,000 companies. About half of them will get funding.
Well, true story. You want to hear a true story? I was like, I don't know, Adeo, if this is a good idea or not. Then I spoke at the first class. I was probably one of the top 10 speakers ever. Adeo will tell us if I'm right or wrong, but I'm definitely up there in the top speakers. And I was like, you know what, Adeo, I think you got something here. Let me buy half of it off you. I'll give you $200,000 you know, and I tried to buy like, you know, half of it and be like, hey, listen, I'll help fund it because I don't think he had any funding at that time, whatever. This is a true story, right?
It's true.
Yeah. And smartly he said no.
Not the first person to turn you down.
No, of course not. MailChimp turned me down famously. Hey, Rafe is also here from Evernote. Rafe, how's it going, the transition from journalist to now evangelist?
Startup guy. I love it. It's great. You know, I've been covering startups for ever, and now I'm actually seeing what's.
Are you afraid to say for the better part of 3 decades? It's over 2 decades. I'll say it for you.
Yes. I started my journalism career in 1988.
I was going to say it's been 3 decades for you, and it's 2 decades for me.
You think after all this time I could have done something with my life?
No, I mean, listen, you were a pioneer. I think Rafe's Radar, you should start again. I think it should be just like a weekly email. Rafe's Radar. That's my suggestion to you. For the youngins who don't know, Rafe had. See, I always remember. I'm a very loyal guy. If anybody asks you something about me, aside from arrogant or funny or whatever, they will tell you I'm loyal.
Like mafia loyal.
I'm very loyal, very, very loyal. Right. And the opposite is true. If you cross me, then it's going to be like, it's going to be a war forever. But anyway.
I know I did that once. It was fun.
It was fun.
I crossed you on purpose just to see what would happen. It was really awesome.
Anyway.
First Jason was, I got to tell the story first. So I did this world's most hated people on the internet, and I put you on the list. Remember that?
I've been on so many of those lists, I actually can't remember.
Oh, you forgot.
No, I think I do. I think I do remember it.
So at first, you sent me an email like, hey, ha, ha, ho, ho. And then you sent an email to my boss's boss's boss saying, this is irresponsible crap. It was hilarious. Yes. Cheers.
There you go. Salute. And
I've changed my tune on you, though,
let me tell you something. Rafe's Radar was for a period of time, and for any journalist, for any journalist, you know, being on top for any period of time is great. He was literally the most influential, respected, like, you know, piece of journalism going on in tech for a couple of years, and I think that's just tremendous. So, I encourage you to start it again. I mean, there's no reason for you not to be. Why wouldn't you start?
I'm still writing about startups here for Evernote at Opportunity Notes, opnotes.com.
I know, but just start the email list on MailChimp. Rafe's Radar. People will get it, and nobody owns that name anymore. It's your name.
So I own it. Yeah.
Yeah, just do it again. Every week, you just tell us what we should be watching. So brilliant.
And make it exactly 300 words. I think that was the.
Oh God, I tried that again with this column I've been doing. I don't. It's like I don't have that muscle anymore to do just 200 words at a time.
That's too hard. It's so hard. All right, let's get to the program. What is the top news story?
We got to talk about Apple because Apple is Apple still, even though it seems to have missed its expectations for quarterly revenue. It's also no longer the world's most valuable company. So the street was expecting closer to around $55 billion. It was $54.5 billion in revenue for Q3. That was up 18% from the previous quarter. They sold 47.8 million iPhones. That's up 23% year over year. Mac and iPod sales were down, however. Now they are planning to return $45 billion to shareholders through dividends and share buybacks over the next 3 years. The share price dropped about 11% Wednesday, down to $458. Now, of course, you know, David Hannemeyer Hansen of 37 Signals did tweet, you know, Apple has $145 in cash per share. Subtract from the $452 share price, you get $306. Earnings per share is 44. 306 divided by 44 equals 6.9 with the big eyes next to it. So, you know, Apple's not
the price earnings ratio is absurdly low. And it is interesting that this came out. I think this came out, this whole thing happened 2 weeks after I wrote that piece about how the Samsung Note and these things.
That was only last week even.
It was a week before.
Yeah.
And so you ask yourself, how did I write something so prescient? I knew their earnings were coming, and I wrote it right at that time because I knew that this was, I had no idea it was going to be this much of a disaster, but the chink was in the armor, and you could see it happening. And I think that this is the ultimate buying opportunity. I'll be totally honest. I'm going to load up on some stock on this because, and I don't hate to turn this into a stock show, they are going to respond with the large. Remember I said they have to do a Note 2 competitor? They're going to do that. They're going to do the cheap iPhone. And now that they're no longer, like this is the halo effect that we thought would leave after Steve Jobs. It just was delayed. But this is too much. So always people overreact. So I think this is too much. What do you think, Rafe?
I never comment on stock price, but I don't think that the game is up for Apple. If they can figure out their low-end strategy to address the rest of the world, they should be able to make it. But they have to. I mean, you can't let all these $59 Android phones take over. Apple has to address that. And they've been going down market for years, so they have the capability to do that. I don't know if they'll do it with the phone, but they need to.
Yeah, and Adeo, what are your thoughts on this? And I know that you were on the note. I remember I was making fun of you at Antonio's Nut House just 18 months ago.
I know. I mean, I've got more Samsung products that I use than I use Apple products. So.
And why is that? Is it because they're more affordable, or because they're better? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely cheaper, and they're on par in terms of quality. So, the Note 2 is a fantastic phone. It lacks certain things with the OS, but it has a pen, and battery lasts like a day and a half.
Right.
So, I can get a solid day and a half of usage out of a Note 2. I can barely get half a day of usage out of an iPhone.
Right.
So it loses in certain things in the OS and gains in certain things in the hardware. It's just a better phone.
Right.
Similarly with the tablet, this is a pretty awesome tablet. It's a Microsoft Windows 8 tablet. It's got a pen. The pen is really good. So, I mean, when I look at this, I say, if I go in the Apple store, I'm going to buy, iPad mini, which, by the way, I also have.
Right, which is a fantastic device, yeah.
It is a fantastic device, but I mean, basically, they took an Apple iPad and shrank it. It's the same screen resolution.
Which one do you find yourself when you're sitting there at your desk and you've got 3, 4 device options to look at email or something like that? Do you have one that you're currently reaching for first? The Mini.
Oh, in terms of on an Apple device, it's the Mini. In terms of devices, I reach for the Samsung.
Is that just because it's new, or?
I like the digital. I like being able to use a stylus.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's interesting. That's, I think, one of the interesting things we're seeing is, to Steve's credit, the reality distortion field was a credit to how much we all. I'm sort of looking back on it, because I've at times been annoyed by the reality distortion field, and the way I've reconciled it as an individual and just as somebody who likes to analyze this stuff is, I think that the reality distortion field was all of us giving deference, giving honor to Steve. It was almost like, okay, Steve, if you don't think we should use a stylus or that the iPad Mini is the right size, you're Steve. We'll give you that. But now that he's gone, and there's, Tim Cook obviously doesn't aspire to be like a product guy, and Johnny Ive is, MIA. You don't hear from him, right? I don't understand why he's not out there just totally, taking that role. The concept of the Mini doesn't work, or a cheap iPhone doesn't work, or even licensing our OS to other people, I think all of those things are now on the table. And when your stock price gets cut in half like this, I don't think they're panicking over there. Nobody with $140 billion is panicking about anything, but I do think it's gonna it puts all options on the table, and giving Samsung the ability to make iOS devices is a 1% chance that it happens, but that was a negative 100 chance it would ever happen. But I think that somebody could say that in a meeting at Apple today, and not be thrown out of the company. They might be thrown out of the room, or they might be laughed at, but I think it's worth discussing, because BlackBerry said publicly they would give their operating system to other people, and Android has done
a couple more quarters like this, and that will be a very popular option.
Yeah, what do you guys think in terms of Apple expanding the product line and thinking, if I may, differently about how they operate their business in terms of closed ecosystem?
I mean, I don't think I think Apple's greatest competitive advantage is the closed ecosystem.
Right.
The open ecosystem is really, really hard to do. I mean, right, you're leading an open ecosystem, you're spawning an open ecosystem over at Evernote. I mean, you've got all different things that you have to support. I mean, there's no way with an open ecosystem that you're going to have a streamlined experience with Apple products, period, end of story. So I don't think they're going to go open anytime soon.
Yeah. What do you think about a $99 iPhone, a cheap phone, something they haven't done? You think they're going to do that, Adeo? Or a Note 2 size phone? More SKUs, if you will. More SKUs.
Yeah. They have to. I mean, they missed the boat on an iPad mini size device. They elongated the screen by one row of icons. I mean, come on, guys. That's not really They have to. There's going to be more than one. And frankly, and some of their key products, like the MacBook Air, hasn't been refreshed in years. And they were refreshing the Air every 6 to 12 months. It's been what, a year and a half, 2 years since the last one came out with the backlit keyboard. And I mean, that's probably their most popular. And now everyone's kicking their butt on the hardware side in the Ultrabook category because they haven't updated their hardware in a year and a half.
How does Evernote look at all this, Rafe? I mean, I know when Phil was on stage, he was sort of, we're going to be everywhere. But are you starting to see Windows 8 users and, Android, just starting to, Android starting to dominate iOS? Do you see the iOS users use Evernote more? Is there some internal statistic where you say, Android and Windows 8 are the future, but the amount of usage from iOS users is, 50% more than the average Android user?
Well, I don't know what data that's in my head I can share, but there are some things that are pretty clear. Android is a rocket ship for us. Yeah. We have a great client on Android. It's pre-installed on devices in some places. And the number of users we're getting from the growth in Android distribution is huge. Right. Of course, we love Apple as well. I mean, we build applications for native for every platform that matters. That's the strategy of the business. It's one of the reasons why the product works is because it's everywhere that people are. And while some people might want their users to be on homogeneous systems, we know that the reality is that people will have a PC and an iPhone, or an Android device and a Mac, and we just want to make sure that their data they don't feel that their data is siloed. So it's a heck of a lot of effort to build applications on all the platforms, but the payoff is that we sit a level above the idea of you must be on our platform.
And how do you guys look at Microsoft in relation to all this? I mean, I've been playing with Windows 8 the last week, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed. And it feels like my Acer laptop is much faster than my MacBook Air. I didn't take the Acer on the trip. I took the MacBook Air this time, but it was a jump ball. I just didn't do it because I was only away for 48 hours and I didn't want to have any issues. But I think definitely on the next trip, I'm taking the Acer and seeing how that goes. Because seriously, all my stuff is in Google Docs and Evernote and Dropbox.
So it doesn't matter.
I can go to any computer. I realized this the other day. The computer is just it's almost like a dumb terminal now. It doesn't matter. Yeah. All my sugar is in the cloud.
A dumb terminal with a lot of local storage, yeah.
Exactly.
We believe. Obviously, we believe in synchronization. It shouldn't matter what device you're on. Your brain is your brain. You don't have to think about, well, I'm in this room or I'm in that place. It's like your information is always with you. So we try to make that easy. But to answer your question, obviously, Windows is the platform for productivity. It is still. If you're in Silicon Valley, you might not feel that, but the reality is that's where that's the platform everybody uses. So, if you're a serious global software company, you have to take Windows incredibly seriously.
I agree with that, and I think you look at Apple's software strategy for apps. They have this iMessage, and iMessage is wonderful now.
It's awesome.
You can put in somebody's phone number, their email. It just resolves everything, right?
Yeah, you can send photos.
Video, whatever. It just works. But you can't put that on an Android phone? iMessage doesn't exist on Android?
Yeah, why can't I use it?
Why can't I use it? Why can't I use it on Windows desktop? Why can't I use it on any desktop? Why isn't it available as a Flash application or what's the other one when you could download and
closed ecosystem? That's why.
I know, but it doesn't work anymore, Adeo. Do you think that's sustainable in today's day? Is that sustainable? Because isn't that what killed BlackBerry? They had BlackBerry Messenger. You remember our friend Nick was addicted to it. Everybody's addicted to BlackBerry Messenger. People are trading their BlackBerry PIN numbers, and it would be like once you got somebody's BlackBerry PIN number, you were in a chat room with them. It was a really great thing. And now they didn't open it up. BlackBerry Messenger could have been iMessenger, and now iMessenger is going to get clobbered by whatever Google comes up with.
You think?
Yeah. I think so. Look what Evernote's doing. Look, of the top 10 apps on iOS, 6 of them are Apple or something crazy like that.
Google.
Yeah. Google is absolutely crushing Apple's own ecosystem.
Sure. So I actually had a question from the chat room, and this is for Adeo. Are more of the founders at Founder Institute using Apple or non-Apple products?
Okay. So I think most programmers still use Apple almost exclusively. to develop. So, there are some exceptions to the rule, but for the vast majority of programmers, they're on some sort of MacBook Air or MacBook Pro. In terms of what people are building for, in terms of platforms, I'd say number one is probably now Android for sure. And there's a lot of popularity around Windows Phone and Windows 8. So for example, there's something called App Campus, which is a program out of Finland. And they'll give you up to 70,000 euros for making a Windows 8 app or a Windows Phone app. No questions asked, no equity.
Who is it? Microsoft?
It's but believe it or not, Microsoft and Nokia put for some large 20, 40 million each, and then they parceling it out at 70,000 euros a pop.
Have you used Windows? Is your Samsung Windows 8 or is that Android?
Yeah, this is Windows 8, and I mean this is look at this. It's super skinny, right?
That thing's huge. It's like landscape.
It is huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Yeah, but you're a big guy.
Skinny.
Yeah.
I am a big guy. Yeah. The Note 2 is like one of the microphones. And then it's got a detachable keyboard and it's got 10 hours of battery life. I mean, that's awesome. It's a great computer.
Did you ever think, Rafe, that we would get to the point in time where the number one topic of discussion for hardware in our industry was battery life?
I kind of wished it, because I wanted ultrabooks, or what are called ultrabooks, ultralight laptops, back when the hardware makers were telling me, oh, nobody cares about small laptops. This is America. We want Hummers of laptops. We want these giant 14-inch monsters. And battery life, nobody uses these things on airplanes. And now it's a thing, and I'm very happy, because it was one of those things, and once you have it, you cannot imagine the feeling of panic when you're like more than 3 feet away from an electrical outlet that you used to have.
I was on Delta. I flew out on Delta, which literally I'm going to come back and actually literally kill my assistant Bryce.
It was so that you could have David on the show and still make it to New York that night.
I know. It was worth it for the show, but I seriously felt like I was put on a bus. I don't want to be politically correct, but
Honey, I was on a real bus today in LA. You don't want to do that.
That
right?
was and I was like, where are the plugs? And she's like, oh, we don't have plugs on here. I'm like, do you have plugs in Business Plus and she's like, well, we have cigarette lighters on half the seats. And I'm like, what? It was
what
just
century
a
are you
shocking
in?
moment. And then I just thought to myself, oh, wait a second. I have a MacBook Air and I have my iPad with me and I have my Note 2. So in the worst case, and they had GoGo. So in the worst case scenario, which didn't occur, I had my stuff in Evernote and I could go. I used my laptop till it died. I used my Samsung 2 till it died, and I'm fine, right? It was like I had enough battery between 3 devices to get there. When we get back, I want to talk a little bit about Yahoo because they just bought another company, and we definitely want to get into what Quora is doing, as well as Twitter's Vine. I think Twitter Vine is the big one. When we get back from this very important commercial. Oh, wait, I read the commercials here. I forgot about that. I got you guys. You guys all thought we were going to actually go to a commercial. Wait, wouldn't that be wonderful if we just press the button and we go to a commercial? No.
You got to work for this.
I have to work. That's it. And what am I doing here? Oh, SnapTerms. That makes it easy. If your website doesn't have a proper terms of service and privacy policy, you're risking costly litigation. Isn't that right, Adeo?
Yes.
SnapTerms is a simple, affordable, and fast way to protect your website with the proper terms and privacy policies. We use SnapTerms. That's right. We use it here for This Weekend. Go to thisweekend.com/legal, and you'll see our funny, clever, and comprehensive terms of service. And if you go to snapterms.com and get started, packages are only $149 when you check out. Use the coupon code TWIST, This Week in Startups, TWIST, and you'll get a free NDA with every order. Then you can customize packages to any type of business. If it's e-commerce, if it's social, they have all those different plug-and-play components so that you can have a comprehensive terms of service, and they'll work with you. They pick up the phone, and they'll talk to you on email or whatever, and make sure it's all correct. But this is something that a lot of startups don't do, and man, there are these ambulance-chasing folks who are suing everybody, and then you have to do a settlement. And trust me, that settlement and that legal time, when you get that legal letter, is going to cost a lot more than the $149 that SnapTerms charges. I told those guys they should add a zero to their prices. They told me they're making a good enough living at $149.
By the way, if you go to a lawyer and ask them to do that for you, it could be, as you said, 10 times as expensive at the minimum.
Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, I think when I went through it the last time, $3,000 to $5,000 was like the starting point.
Yeah,
you know,
because the law firms, they get all spooked out and they're like, whoa, we need to have everyone review it, and of course you just need a system to get it done correctly. I think it's a great idea, by the way.
Yeah, SnapTerms is fantastic. Thank you at SnapTerms. And hey, if you're already using SnapTerms and you can't use it again right now, you can thank them on Twitter. Thank you at SnapTerms. Thank you at SnapTerms. Thank you at SnapTerms for making life simple, easy, elegant, and affordable for startups everywhere. Go to snapterms.com and use the promo code TWIST and get a free NDA. Let's do the Vine story.
Oh, you want to do Vine?
I want to skip ahead to Vine.
You want to skip ahead to Vine, all right.
Because I have some questions about this.
You have some questions about Vine because you've used it? Or
I used it. I've been using it.
Right.
I've done like 3 Vines.
All right, so you can pull up your first post over there. So Vine allows its users to take short 3-segment videos from their iPhone, stitch them together for a 6-second video. You can share them to Twitter and Facebook, though Facebook cut off its access to Vine's Find People feature within a few hours of its release. Twitter says it will be available on other platforms soon. So anything you love or hate about the app, and would you say this is the Instagram of video?
Well, here's the video I did in New York, and that's Sean Gold, the back of Sean Gold's head. You'll see in a second there. Boom, that's Sean Gold walking. Anyway, the way it works, just so people don't know, it's a 6-second looping GIF, but it's not actually technically a GIF, I don't think. So it's kind of like lame in that it uses like its own file format, I believe. So when I went here to try to like open this up, I couldn't really like download the file or anything like that. So I found that kind of weird. Is it oh, it's an MP4. It is. Okay, so you can download it. I was trying to figure out, like, what do I do with this video? Why isn't it a GIF? So that's one thing that's confusing me. Is why isn't this not a GIF? But it's super clever. What you do is you take your phone out, you hold your finger on the screen.
Yep.
Now it's recording. The second you take your finger off the screen, it stops recording. Then you press it again, you take it off. So I did the fire hydrant there. I did a little spin. I did the bus. I did the person walking in front of me. So it makes this, like, you know, very jittery, like, stacked video of somebody, which has a certain artistic quality to it. And I think the elegance and ease of use, like It was
super easy. I made one this morning.
I made one within, so I think like, this has Evan Williams and Jack's like sort of fingerprints on it, and Jason Goldberg's and those guys, because they're very good at just getting out of the way of the user. So I find it very elegant, and I think it's totally going to take off. And I think it signals something about Twitter, that they've caught up with their main platform and they can start doing stuff like independent products. In a way, it reminds me of what Evernote is doing with their food application and, you know, these other applications that are just, you know, single use case. Whether the single use case apps become huge hits doesn't matter. They make life more delightful, and they get you a couple more slots on the iTunes ranking and just lock people in more. So I guess I'm going to go right to Rafe on this one. Rafe, when you saw it, did you use it? What do you think?
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I've been covering these kind of cinemagram type of things where you take these little, I call them long photographs. They're not photos, but they're not videos. They're these little tiny snippets. And they're all kind of cool, but none of them really go anywhere because they're weird. But this one, like you said, it just gets out of the way, and you can do a lot with that interaction model. You can do 6 seconds of somebody talk. Also, it has audio, and none of the other ones do. So it actually has sound. What a difference that makes. So you can do either a 6-second video of somebody saying, hey, how are you? Or you can do a little mini stop-motion animation, or you can get 5 people around a table real fast. It shares really fast. You don't have to log in because it reads your Twitter ID. It's so delightful. I really hope it works because I just love it. I hardly ever feel that way about a product.
Yeah, it definitely has that delightful. Adeo, what are your thoughts?
I mean, okay, so there's this is what I call a graveyard. There are literally hundreds of people who built apps like this, and they're all out of business. So, you know, in terms of the usability, it may be a little bit better than some of the dead ones, but it's joining the ranks of the dead. And as I like to say, if you walked into a town and everyone was dead, you'd probably leave. So I don't know why Twitter just walked into a town where everyone's dead. And I mean, they got to know that everyone's dead.
But maybe they're bringing it back to life.
So wait a second, you're saying
that's a real negative perspective for a guy who's encouraging people to to disrupt industries.
Right, but I wouldn't encourage you to walk into a town of dead people unless you had some great innovation on how to make it work. And the reality is, like, touching the screen on and letting go off is kind of what a bunch of the other apps had as well.
Did the other apps have that, or did the other apps have like a play and a stop and a record and confusion?
The ones I saw, and I saw about 5 or 6 of these. One of them was at like in one of the parties in Silicon Valley running around. And yeah, I mean, you basically would just literally touch anywhere on the screen, record it, and it posted it out to Twitter. And, you know, it was interesting. I think it was 3 seconds or 20. There was one that was.
There was
like
one that was 12 seconds that
through.
went out of business, right? It was called 12 seconds or something.
Right. There was like more than one.
I know there's a bunch, but.
Town of dead.
But I think Rafe's right for calling you out on this, because I do think that execution matters. And what you'll typically see is a bunch of people come in and they do like, you know, B, C, and D level execution. And then somebody comes in and gets it right. Now, I know this because I saw Instagram. And Instagram, to me, was so cleverly done that I had Hipstamatic before that. And Hipstamatic charged me, and it was like too complicated. There were like 20 different things. And I got to the point where like I'm chasing my daughter around trying to get a photo, and it was like Hipstamatic was more complicated than using a digital SLR, and it was like I'm going to have to like change lenses. And I was like, I don't want to change a lens. I just want to take the picture and then make it look good. And Instagram got that, and it was smoother and easier. I feel like this is the future.
Yeah, but there's something, you're right, Jason, and I'm not trying to say that there's no hope here, but, you know, it's not, when you come into a market that's filled with dead bodies, you should really take a look at why that's the case. And I'm sure Twitter did. So is it the fact that the videos were too large to download? Probably. So their shorter format may be better. Is it the fact that, you know, so there was a lot of reasons why this idea didn't take off. And to be honest, while I think the implementation of Vine is good, I don't see something that seems that far ahead of me from the other products that were out there.
I just had a realization. I do think that this is 20% better than what came before it. But there was something else that happened in that time period from like a year or two ago and today that is greatly different. Can anybody guess what that is? That makes this actually viable.
Twitter's larger?
No. That certainly helps, but that's not the transformative thing that's happened.
LTE?
LTE, exactly. I just realized it. The reason this is going to blow up and explode is because LTE exists. This couldn't work with 3G.
Take too long to upload.
Or Wi-Fi. Yeah,
or
so
Wi-Fi maybe, but you're not on Wi-Fi.
Well, it works, but you can't count on your being on a Wi-Fi. And normally when you're taking a cool video, you're on top of a mountain somewhere and there is no Wi-Fi.
Right. With LTE, because I just realized, like, why did this work so easy for me? And then I just realized that, I have Verizon LTE. I hated Verizon my whole life. Verizon's my favorite company right now. For me, like, Verizon is like, it might as well be Yogurtland or...
You let them sponsor the show.
Verizon, you can sponsor the show. I will sit here and talk about LTE to the cows come home. I love that sugar. It is the greatest. And that's actually the thing that's changed. So that is a big, I think, lesson for entrepreneurs.
That might be the case. Jason, you're right. Like, there could be a seminal change in the market.
And the processor
and it may be LTE, and it may be the fact that more devices have the ability to record video than before. But, you know, I'm willing to bet that this will wind up on the dung heap of humanity within a year.
All right. Now, what's going on right now with Facebook blocking everybody? Is that story in the rundown here?
It's not.
Okay. So can you look that up while we do the next story? Because there were 2 apps this week that got blocked, right? You mentioned Vine got blocked.
No, it was the Make Me Asian, which got pulled out of the Google App Store.
No, that's different. There were 2 Facebook blocked access to, I think it was Yandex, like the Russian search engine, I guess. And
Vine
in the same week. Let's talk about that for a second. What is going on, Rafe? If Facebook blocks the usage of their social graph and all these competing apps, does that feel like maybe the Facebook jumping the shark moment? Don't be politically correct now, Rafe. Don't be politically correct.
Facebook, don't what?
Please don't start being politically correct because you work for Evernote. You got to be honest.
I got to keep,
People understand. The more honesty is better.
I think in many ways Facebook has been really cashing in on its utility and its the necessary part it is in people's lives for a long time now. I think that blocking a service here or there is part and parcel of what they do to maintain control of how their network works. But I mean, the experience of using Facebook right now with the ad content that you're getting in there, it's not what it used to be.
No,
and I think they've gone way too far in over controlling what they do with the feed, not related to Yandex at all.
Yeah.
And it's a danger for Facebook. I think they're going too far.
But Rafe, it's also a lot better when all the gaming companies were coming out and I was getting like, so-and-so unlocked a bush. It's like, I don't care. And
Yeah.
like that was, I mean, that the timeline became the spam line. And I stopped using Facebook completely for probably
But I mean,
a year and a half.
when you open up your mobile app and the first thing you see is like Quicken and it's just like it seems like every time
Jason Calacanis likes, this Cancun resort. I'm like, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
And in fact, they've even admitted Jason never actually hit the like. They kind of fake your likes.
Yeah.
Robert Scoble likes, Like, no, he
I like
doesn't.
what that to me. See, this is the thing. It's like I think that they're, and I know we've been saying this a while, but I think this level of bad behavior of like, we're just going to block everybody from participating in our ecosystem now. We all predicted it would happen. They would have their Microsoft moment, but now that it's arrived.
Jason, they are far more open than Twitter is. To be fair, if anything, probably this is a retaliation, the Vine thing. Twitter is like, Dr. Evil of open ecosystems, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look, I spent my whole last year working on this client for Twitter. They're like, shut down.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, wow, that was a giant waste of time. And by the way, this is the same company that went out and said, hey, build these things for Twitter,
Yeah.
and then shut them down.
It just
So-
feels like the users are coming last now in these ecosystems.
Right,
which,
like I can't see an Instagram photo on Twitter anymore. I have to
that
go
is
click through,
so
right?
annoying. Like seriously,
says
this
tit for
is a
tat.
message. This is a message to Dick Costello and Mark Zuckerberg. Work it out. I mean, you're screwing users.
Yeah.
The users are getting screwed now because of this petty, stupid feud between Zuckerberg and Dick Costello. Does any user want to have to click through to Instagram? And does any user... I mean, I want to
but
know which of
Jason,
my
it's not-
Facebook
it's
friends
not
are
a
using
tough-
Vine.
Google and Apple are in the same boat. They're all closing up their ecosystems and
I don't think Google is.
And frankly, Microsoft is too. I mean, I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say here, but I mean, I know that behind the scenes at Facebook, you can search for things and see it on one search engine and not another. And there's like giant 7-figure deals that are behind that ability.
Wait,
And
you're
so-
saying like Google will show some results and Bing will show others and certain people are blocked because there's huge ad buys on Google?
There's a lot of money. So if I were a search engine, right, and I want to search Facebook profiles, I'd go do a deal with Facebook. And
Right.
guess who's a big owner in Facebook? So you
Yeah.
can do some math on who's getting the search results in their search engine. But the long and short of it is, behind the scenes right now, there's a lot of dealing being done and a lot of money being spent. And these ecosystems are closed for monetization purposes. They don't care.
Doesn't feel to me
This
like-
has nothing to do with users.
It
This has to do with their
Rafe, is your perception that Google has closed their ecosystem? It feels like they're very open.
Of the companies we're talking about, they're more open, thanks to Android and all the pressure they get from various governments on how they treat search results. So Google has, reached the point where they're regulated, and they're regulated into openness, and Facebook will get there, and maybe Twitter will someday as well.
Yeah.
But right, just one thing, you can't license the Android operating system with the Play Store unless you pay for Android. So you don't get the most valuable asset of Android, which is the
Is that right? You have to pay a fee?
Yes.
What's the fee?
So it's per unit.
Oh,
So
I wasn't
don't
aware of
know,
that.
Yeah, so it's not all that open. You can get the source code But what's the source code within that? Without, so if you like, for example, buy any of the Kobe Android devices, most of them don't pay the licensing fee, so they don't have an app store. They have like a Kobe app store. But anyway, so even Android, which I do agree is the epitome of an open system, isn't 100% open. So.
Next story.
Oh, I just want to point out, somebody did say, does this mean you won't be able to have any other video sharing on Twitter because of Vine?
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to feel like Twitter is using embeds as their way to, block other people. Like, does that mean they're going to make a Foursquare competitor and you're not going to get this, they spent all this time making those enhancements so that Foursquare would be there and news stories are now there. I guess they do like
to keep you longer on Twitter.
To keep you longer on Twitter, but now they're reversing that. So like I think actually blocking Instagram hurts Twitter more than it helps Twitter.
Right, because you're going away.
Yeah, it's like I'm leaving to go to Instagram, and now if Instagram were to build a full social network over there, then I might hang out over there, right? Because Instagram doesn't really have on the web like a full social experience. So once Instagram does that, now they're going to be shipping people out. If they wanted to do something smart, they would just put the Instagram photo there. Oh wait, is it their decision to block it, or is it Instagram's decision?
It was Twitter's decision
to block it.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
Yep.
Because it makes people click through the website, and then at that website they have to download the app.
Or they can just look at it on a web page.
It's nonsense. Let's go to the next story.
All right. So Yahoo, we found out this week, thanks to Kara Swisher's reporting, that Yahoo wants to be the Google of content. And interestingly enough, the first interesting acquisition since Marissa took over is Snip.it, which is a service for clipping, sharing, and organizing articles. It was called a Pinterest for articles, in fact, founded in 2011. The founder, Rami Adib, built the service to inform his friends on his perspectives on the Egyptian Revolution. He was in San Francisco, and he is Egyptian. And Yahoo reportedly paid a sum in the mid-teens of millions for Snip.it. Now, the site has been shut down. Users have until February 21st to download their data.
Interesting.
So do you think this is a move towards Yahoo's shift to become a destination for content? Is it a good acquisition?
Well,
they shut it down.
They shut it down, or they.
It's an acqui-hire. If you buy a company that has users and a good product, and then you shut it down, it's not a direction. It's not saying that we love this product so much we're going to incorporate it. It's an acqui-hire.
Right. No, they're going to roll the. They're going to roll the functionality. It is an acqui-hire as well, but they're going to roll the functionality into their overall product and service. I mean, I think this. First of all, this is great. Yahoo buying is like the time is long overdue. These companies are sitting on tens of billions of dollars of cash in some cases, and they're not acquiring companies. So, hats off to you, Marissa. Acquire more. You need to acquire more. In terms of the company closing the technology, I don't think Yahoo needs 80 more brands. Like, that was already a problem. Delicious, Flickr, all this crap. They should get rid of the brand, roll it into Yahoo, keep making Yahoo better and better. How many things did Google buy and keep the brand around? Tons of stuff.
Yeah.
And how many of those brands still exist? Well, not many. Like, and if anything, it's like Google blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, right? YouTube is the one big one that obviously comes to mind, and that was so big you couldn't sort of deny it its own URL.
But that's about it.
That's about it, yeah. And in this case, like, Flickr still has its own URL. But I think this is savvy because, it's interesting. Everybody knew that content was the right direction for Yahoo. And so when they got rid of Ross and went Marissa, everybody was like, wait a second. If content's the right direction, then why Marissa over Ross, right? Because they're both equally qualified to do the job, I believe. They're both excellent executives. But she's the software one, comes from a software background, he comes from a media background. So it felt like he had the advantage in a way. And she was like this, dark horse that came out of nowhere, like, oh, Marissa's taking it over. Now, this actually feels like a good middle ground, which is we're going to make Yahoo a destination for content, which is what it is already. And we're going to make the content more customized and more Pinterest-like and, maybe even
making less original content, possibly.
Yeah, and they really, their model has always been to sprinkle original content on the top of the page and then have it be syndicated content. So when you were clicking off the homepage or clicking off finance, they might have like their breakout thing that they shoot, but then it was all other videos from CNBC or articles from Business Insider and licensing deals. So she's been pretty clear in this interview that I saw that it's going to be, she did a pretty good job of explaining it's going to be the content you want personalized to you, which is sort of what I guess Ross's vision was too. I mean, what do you think of that vision, Rafe? Personalized content.
Well, a lot
automatically
of people
personalized.
Well.
By the way,
that's another potential graveyard. Except that's businesses have fallen down that trap.
Yeah.
But you need to have something to draw people in. So you need the original content as well as the curation factor to give people a reason to go there to see original content. I mean, I don't know. If I'm at Yahoo, I'm like, wait a minute, we've been down this road before. The pendulum at Yahoo is always swinging back and forth. This original content aggregation, original content aggregation. This one seems like an aggregation play, which is a more engineering thing to do because there's more content you choose from, and it's more of a search engine-y type play. So it's probably the right direction for Yahoo overall. I never really understood Yahoo as an original content company, honestly.
But so many people go to Yahoo Sports and Yahoo Finance and Yahoo Movies and Yahoo Entertainment. I mean, all these Yahoo destinations, probably because people are going for their email and previously were going for search. They just drive so many people to content that when you talk to people like average Americans, they're going to be like, yeah, I go to Yahoo Finance, I go to Yahoo Sports to catch up on stuff. That's like their way of saying.
I confess, have a bit of a bubble blind spot for Yahoo for their mainstream content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what do you think of Marissa's vision of this automatically curated, internet for you, content for you?
I mean, it's going to get there, and Yahoo is pretty close already. So she's just refining the assets they already have. It's hard, as Rafe said. This is a pendulum has swung for Yahoo, and this is another graveyard for large media companies. However, back to your argument about execution, to date, nobody's executed very well on it.
Yeah.
The closest thing I think I've seen that's actually pretty good is like a Flipboard.
Yeah.
And, Flipboard's pretty good. So, I mean, I use Flipboard for all my media consumption. So if Yahoo can get something right there with again, borrowing some modern UI concepts and some customization concepts, could be very good for them.
I think it's also like
a graveyard.
Well, yeah, there's NetVibes and there's Page Flakes and there was My Yahoo, the original Page Flakes and NetVibes. A lot of people have gone down that road, but I think the spin she's putting on it is we're just going to automatically figure out what you like. So based on how you click the homepage, it's just going to automatically adapt and show you more of what you like. So if you're clicking on Lindsay Lohan, you're going to get some Tara Reid and Lindsay Lohan and Beyonce. And if you're clicking on the Knicks, you're going to get some Lakers and Celtics and more NBA. And if you're clicking on tech, you're going to get more, Engadget, whatever. So I think it's actually a good CEO market fit. Like, I think that she's a great person to build this vision. And I think it's a great vision. It's not particularly...
Not innovative.
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly innovative, but I do think that she's so good at executing and so methodical that with that huge platform and her methodical nature, she's the one who could actually make it work. And the difference between Yahoo being an average company and a great company and a bad company is really just like the 10% that they either grow or they lose traffic, right? And so they're...
Well, I mean, look, actually right now the difference between Yahoo being a good company and a great company is going to be by acquiring talent through M&A.
Right, I'm talking about just on a financial basis. They're in the kill zone in the on a financial basis, on a audience size basis. If they were 10% better right now, it would be dramatic. And I agree with you, Adeo. If you buy a dozen startups with 10 people in each who are awesome, and you have this dream team of 120 people coming in, and then you'll see 1,000 people will be let go at some point. But they start bringing in people through Aqui-hires, and they start executing on this vision. It's like they're going to just... It's almost like building, a whole
That's why Yahoo achieved the greatness in the heyday. They went on this acquisition spree. They kept more people than they let go in those acquisitions.
Yeah.
Those people were really excellent, like Katarina Fake or whomever, and they built a great Yahoo.
Yeah.
And they need to do it again. They're not going to win the talent war by, giving out purple pillows or whatever. They're going to win the talent war by buying companies for a reasonable amount of money. And by the way, there's a lot of great companies out there that they can afford.
They do. So, they should be spending money though, licensing content or just making their own original content. I think that that's going to be key. I don't think you can just acquire. I don't think you can just aggregate your way to success in the space. I do think you have to have some original voices. So taking a Huffington Post-like approach where they just selectively hire 3 voices in each vertical that are awesome and overpay them and just win. Actually, I wrote that in an article at some point, but
No, they did that before.
And
they've done it a couple times, like I'm saying.
Did they buy the most elite people? But they did when they had like Yahoo Sports. There were some really good people in Yahoo Sports that I used to wind up there.
Yeah.
And I would wind up at those stories. And now with social media, if they just went and hire 25 of the top journalists out there, 2, 3 for each of the top 10 categories, people will start tweeting that stuff.
That particular business model is totally doable because of what's happening in mainstream journalism and in blogs. So that's a workable
I mean, it's sort of like what the Atlantic is doing.
If they can monetize that.
Right? Like the Atlantic is doing a good job of that. Henry Blodgett has 150 journalists. A lot of the journalists he has are like, up and coming journalists, but he does have a couple of voices of people who are recognizable. I think it's a good strategy for her. I think it's going to work, actually.
So should Yahoo, question from the chat room, do its own brand, or should it focus on having other brands that are powered by Yahoo, sort of like a P&G consumer packaged goods kind of thing, where you don't necessarily know who's behind it?
I think their current strategy is perfect. Like, the domaining, like Yahoo Finance and Yahoo Autos and Yahoo blah, blah, blah. That's perfect. I mean, Yahoo's the brand. In fact, that's the lesson in this acquisition that Marissa's learned. Don't keep Flickr around. Make it Yahoo Photos. Right?
Yeah, they did this whole Yahoo Shine thing, and they tried to make Shine from Yahoo. I don't think that particularly worked.
No.
They should just have done Yahoo Women, or Yahoo Moms, or Yahoo Parents, Yahoo for Men, or Yahoo Men's, whatever it is, Yahoo Home, Yahoo whatever. And it's sort of like going back to the directory days, except actually making rich content, right? So the directory was like links to content. You're sort of saying do a Pinterest thing here, have videos, have content aggregated, and then they should do some, top level stuff.
When you're trying to, when you have a really strong top level brand like Yahoo, and you're also trying to build out the brand of the contributors, individual superstar reporters or videographers or whatever, having an intermediate brand just makes things massively confusing because people will know Yahoo, and if they find a writer they like, they will follow that writer, and then they don't care that they're on the Shine or the whatever it is.
And that was a CNET problem, right? I mean, that was like you had CNET, you had News.com, you had Rafe's Radar, you had 50 different brands to try to find somebody on CNET and then they also had download.com, and then they had this and this gadgets, and it was just very hard to navigate CNET after a certain period of time because so much stuff had been bought and bolted on that you need to sometimes have a clean domain name. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I bought Insight.com. It's like, let's have one clean domain name to do things on that can grow bigger than any of the individual pieces.
You just had to work that in there, didn't you?
No, I mean, it's more evidence of like a single domain. You can do brands like Engadget, Autoblog as separate brands, and you can also do single domain. But you can't do both concurrently. I think you have to pick, Okay. It's kind of hard to do both at the same time is what Rafe's saying. Let's do a final story here.
All right. Do you want to talk about the Quora blogging? What do you want to talk about? Surface? BlackBerry? Sergey on the subway with Google Glass?
Surface.
Let's talk about the Surface, yeah, sure.
The blogging service?
The Surface.
Oh, the Surface.
I think, Adeo, you said Surface?
I said we already talked about.
We already talked about
maybe something else. Yeah.
Yeah, Quora. Let's do Quora.
Okay, let's do Quora. So Quora has launched its own blogging platform. It'll automatically distribute posts to its Q&A sites for users who follow related topics. Come with a built-in audience for nobodies as well as somebodies. The more upvotes, comments, and shares, the more people who will see it. Plan is to allow a larger portion of the world to share their knowledge note without spending years gaining readership like they currently have to do. Also debuting a mobile-rich text editor so you have full control of formatting and photos. Already 25% of the site's traffic comes from mobile. So, do you think that this will turn off existing users? Will Quora be able to retain its users to its platform with a blogging service?
That's interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what's really sad about this is an example of a company with so much money and resources, it doesn't know what to do. right? It's like, wow, what do we do next? We have all this money and talent. It's like, what you should do next is do more of the same better, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Quora is at this point where they're so big that they have to think about what to do next.
Right.
I mean, what they should be thinking about is how to make Quora more and more profitable. Quora is a fantastic product that I think is probably alpha in far too many ways. Its whole buying of post or answer is kind
the
of
credit
cheesy.
system. Yeah.
Yeah, the credit system makes no sense. And I was always like, I don't know, how many credits do I have? Do I want to pay someone that? I don't know, too complicated. But there's something there. And so instead of fixing their core business, when you have lots of engineers and lots of money, you're like, oh, let's launch a blogging service. Oh, let's launch a photo sharing service. It's like, huh? So I think this is a huge...
What do you think, Rafe?
I actually, in this case, I really agree. I mean, Quora has a lot of work to do on its Q&A system, and moving into blogging is a really crowded and difficult space, first of all, to do well, and secondly, to make money from. And it doesn't feel like a good mesh for me. It seems like a distraction. If you're winning in one space, why go into another space where you're a baby, where there are already really, really big, good companies? It seems like a dangerous move. I really hope, because I love Quora, I really hope that they're not putting too many resources into the system, which means if they're not putting too many resources into the blogging system, it's not going to be great. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to. It's kind of hard to disagree with Adeo on this one. I agree, because I said to myself when I saw this, Quora has done a better job than anybody at getting Q&A to a place of quality answers, right? I tried it with Mahalo Answers. Other people did Q&A sites. It's always been like Stack Overflow actually has done it really good in a vertical, right? So Stack Overflow is probably the best execution ever in a vertical, and Quora is the best execution for general. When you do a vertical like technology, Stack Overflow is making money hand over fist because they can put jobs up there. Exactly. They have a job board. Yeah. A job board for tech, you could charge whatever amount you want because these idiots are paying recruiters $50,000 a year for a developer. So if you charge $5,000 or $500 or $1,500 for an ad, and you get them one person, and they have the ads up every week, and you only have to beat $50,000 in recruiting fees for it to make sense. So they're crushing it. What is the business model going to be for Quora? And they've got, I don't think they've achieved scale, but I do think they've achieved greatness. It truly is product greatness, I think. I mean, I can really appreciate how hard it is to do it and how beautiful the product is.
But it's still alpha in a lot of ways, Jason.
What ways do you feel it's alpha? What ways do you feel it's alpha specifically? What's the number one alpha way? Alpha issue?
Okay, so I think their credit system is probably the most pronounced alpha thing. I think the way they sort of determine how they hide certain things is also a little like, huh? Like, you have people who write real garbage and aren't below the fold, and then, because they literally hide answers. And then you have people with like really well-written, articulate answers that are hidden. And it almost makes no sense to me. I'm like, how did you, what logic did you use to hide someone who put a lot of effort and below the fold, if you will, and then show an answer that's clearly from a hater?
Yeah,
right?
So that gets to like how voting works, and voting isn't always work. But I have to say, when I put a question up there, I think my expectation today is when I put a question on there, I've got a 50-50 shot of getting a valuable answer, which I can tell you if you don't think it's 50-50? What do you think it is, Rafe?
No, I was kidding. I was making a joke. I agree. When you put a question up there, you 50-50 chance of getting Scoble to answer you.
Yes. No, I think it's about a 98% chance that's Scoble and some other people who just live on there. But
No, I've used it. I love it. It works. You're right. They've achieved greatness, but that's where you start from, and that's what you focus on, not diversions.
So I kind of agree. And it's scary to agree with Adeo so much. Go ahead, Adeo.
So when you have 500 million users, then launch a blogging platform, do Instagram.
Okay. And I think that's fair, because if I feel like I have a 50-50 chance, why not try to get that to 51 or 60? Because there's some tipping point where if I think the majority cases I'm going to get a quality answer, I'm going to become addicted to it. What I find about Quora is I forget about it. 6 weeks, I stumble upon it again.
It's not part
or
of your daily.
I have like a marketing need or something, and I go back. This is why I sort of like fell out of love with Q&A, because I was like, people don't want to do this on a regular basis, and the people and the people who do want to use it on a regular basis, do want to post questions, whatever, it's like, it's almost like the odd people want to use it, like the lawyer who's trying to get clients, or, you know, somebody who's like overly social like Scoble, and, you know, it just becomes like not the people who you actually want the answers from or the questions from. Are the
or
people
prisoners. I don't know, do you guys get the prisoner questions on your flow? It's like on my mobile device, like every third one is like, what's it like in prison? You know, how does it feel to get out of prison? I'm like,
Yeah, well, that's they have done a fantastic job with this email. They have like a 2 or 3 person team on this email of like, so they do like a really cool curation of like just questions that are like quixotic and interesting and lifelong questions. But I have to agree that, you know, they have this issue. I do appreciate what they're doing with the currency, because I tried that as well, and the currency became very interesting because there are people out there like Expert Exchange, and people will pay, you know, $50 to talk to somebody for half an hour about something, right? Like, so there's a need there, but it's not a daily need. It's like, and Quora is not a daily need. So Quora becomes this thing you use every 6 weeks. Is that enough to build a large-scale business or not? And what is the monetization of this? If they start putting Google AdSense in here, how terrible is that going to be? I did that. It was like, oh my God, the second you put ads inside these Q&A systems, it just like, it sort of kills the vibe. I don't know what they're really smart, obviously, and they can execute like amazingly. The design is amazing. The technology is amazing. But what's up with monetization? What is your best guess as to monetization? Will they eventually ask people to pay for these credits, or will they do an exchange where you pay people for questions? Will they have advertising? What do you think the business model here is, Rafe?
Well, it's a long-tail business. I mean, if you go back every 6 weeks, that's okay if you're getting there through Google and you have a question that can only be answered through Quora. You know, how do I replace the window switch on my, you know, 72 Corvette? And you go to Quora and boom, there it is. Awesome. Now you've got an advertising platform because it's highly specialized. I agree, it does junk it up. So the other alternative is to go into verticals. Technology is kind of taken up, but there are a lot of other verticals where there are jobs and materials and contract work that maybe that could work. It's not easy. I mean, content is never easy. Long-tail content is very difficult to monetize. But if you can get a really, really good base of a lot of content, so a lot of questions are being answered when people are looking for them, maybe.
Or should they just go there to be entertained?
I have to say,
I mean,
like,
talk about another.
what do you think, Adeo?
About another weird thing going on. You can't see Quora questions very often on Google. I mean, I don't. I'll Google it and I won't see it, and then to Jason's point, like later I'll be like, oh, maybe it's on Quora.
Yeah, why is that? Why is there SEO not? Are they not putting stuff on SEO?
I think they have. Yeah, they have it's like you have to be logged in to see a lot of stuff on Quora. Now, you can't see everything without being logged in. I don't know exactly why. It could also be they don't have a deal, whatever.
I think they don't want to have drive-by answers. So, like, everybody else wants to do SEO. I don't think they feel confident enough in their ability to handle the spam and the garbage, and it will turn into Yahoo Answers, maybe.
Maybe, but I'll tell you this, I agree with Rafe. Once they get that, they lay the groundwork, they lay the tapestry of answers, they're going to have tons of SEO, and they'll be making money in like Google, because they'll have, you search for a camera on Google, you get camera ads, you search for, you know, park for a camera, you're going to get camera advertisers on Quora. So it's going to, they have a great monetization platform as long as they keep building this steady stream of content. I see them as like the Wikipedia of the future, right? Because Wikipedia is really good for static knowledge, but the type of things you read about in Quora is like, what's the best, you know, blah, blah, blah in this city, and you'll get answers and they get updated, right? They have
Here's something amazing. I just figured out the prison connection. Because when you said that, Adeo, I was like, yeah, there's a disproportionate amount of prison discussion going on. You know, I wonder if that's just because it's, you know, whatever, so scary for people. And so I see this amazing answer. It says, you know, Jorge, inmate in San Quentin prison. Pull up my screen, please, and I'll make it a little bigger there. So I'm like, wait a second. How is Jorge, the inmate from San Quentin, posting to Quora? So I get to the bottom, and it says here, all communications between inmates and external channels are facilitated by approved volunteers. Since inmates do not have access to the internet, this program with Quora is part of the Last Mile San Quentin. And this Last Mile thing is a program run by a venture capitalist. I forgot his name, so somebody can look it up in the chat room. But the Last Mile San Quentin, this person is trying to help prisoners in San Quentin sort of, for post-prison life. That's why there's so many questions here. And this is a question about, was the number one question under prisons, which is how pedophilia is, people in for pedophiles, thank you, I'm tired, pedophiles treated in prison. And then there's a bunch here about, how do you maintain your marriage in prison? What is the most beautiful prison buildings ever built?
Well, at least you're getting quality answers.
Yeah, I feel like that is a perfect example of, what's the most beautiful prison ever made? Really? Wow. That's can you imagine you're in prison? There's some guy in San Quentin, and they're like, hey, here's Quora. Here, we want you to answer questions. Oh, here's a question for you to answer. What are the most beautiful he must want to, he's going to punch the warden and get another 10 years. If somebody showed me that question, I was in prison, I would kill them.
No, but the other ones are legit. How do you maintain a marriage?
But taunting people. But, this fort by Bayard in France is actually, in the middle of the ocean. It is quite striking. But beautiful might not be the word that comes to mind. It's terrorizing.
From the outside or the inside?
That's, I think, what they're getting at. Actually, this is kind of beautiful too. Look at the Tower of London. That's a pretty beautiful prison. And Istanbul has a beautiful. Well, so if you're going to commit a crime, the lesson is France, Istanbul, or
yeah, but you don't go there for the architecture. How are you going to get treated on the inside?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get to the Tower of London anymore.
Oh God, that's my
Jason.
huge fear in life is going to prison.
To
I would not last with my big mouth.
You would not last.
Oh God, I would be in a fight every day.
I'd be
like, what are you cutting in front of me? I'm trying to get my food here. You're cutting in front of me? It'd be like, the Aryan nation would be like, what did you just say?
I see much, much worse things happening to you.
No, I'm
going to say you wouldn't be in a fight.
Yeah.
Maybe a sword fight.
Oh God.
I can't believe we just went there.
Yeah, that just happened. And so Adeo's first and last appearance on This Week in Startups. No, he's been on before and he'll be on again. Hey, listen, this has been an amazing episode. Really, it has. But when somebody pulls a sword fight out, it's the end of the episode. Hey, Rafe Needleman, thanks for being on the program again. You're amazing as always. Great feedback. Everybody follow @Rafe. Anything to plug in the Evernote camp?
Well, as usual, I'd like more people to read Opportunity Notes, opnotes.com, where I cover startups. And if you have one, email me, rafe@evernote.com, and I'd love to cover you too.
Everybody check out opnotes.com. It's actually really great. Everybody check out opnotes.com, opnotes, O-P-P, notes.com. And Adeo Ressi from the Founders Institute. Everybody go to fi.com, fi.com. You really have fi.com?
fi.co.
.co. Why does it say .com on my notes? Bryce. fi.co, and his Twitter handle is Adeo Ressi, Adeo Ressi at Adeo Ressi. Adeo Ressi de Chevre, what is the story with deadlines to join programs? Is there a program coming up? You have 40 programs, so we can't go through them all.
Yeah, we're enrolling, I think, right now in 19 cities.
Okay, so you got a 50-50 shot. What do you think the secret is to getting in? If you give people just one piece of advice to getting into the Founders Institute, what would it be?
We were just doing analysis on something, and we found that if you actually take the time and fill out a fairly thoughtful application, your probability of getting in and graduating is exponentially higher than someone who just comes in and speed pops out a couple sentences and. So
thoroughness in the application process equals not only getting in, but being successful coming out. So we don't know if there's a cause or correlation there. But generally, as far as you're concerned, if you see a well-thought-out application, that speaks volumes.
It does, and it speaks volumes not only, as you said, about getting in, but also how you do later on. I guess, if you pay attention to details, you're likely to be more successful.
There you go. There you have it. And thank you so much to our friends at New Relic. Everybody follow @New Relic on their Twitter handle. Thank them. Go ahead and thank them. They love to hear your thank yous. And go to newrelic.com/thisweekend, and you get that free T-shirt. No credit card required, which is a lot of my sponsors, a lot of the people who are the sponsors we wouldn't take, they're requiring a credit card. They want to try to loop you in and get you on that hard to cancel stuff. Not my people. And of course, thank you @SnapTerms, thisweekend.com/legal. You'll see ours, and go to snapterms.com and use TWiST, TWiST. And Launch Festival is March 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's going to be amazing at the San Francisco Design Center. If you would like a not a free ticket, a scholarship to the event, go to the site and...
festival.launch.co.
Yeah, festival.launch.co. Or if you go to launch.co, you'll see the festival logo and you can click on it. So just go to launch.co, click on the festival logo, and you'll get right there. But the festival is giving another 500 tickets I announced today as scholarships to builders. What does that mean? If you're at a company that's venture-backed, go buy one of the 400 tickets, please. $400 tickets. But if you're a broke founder, designer, program, whatever, apply for a ticket, and we'll probably let you in because we've got so many great sponsors at the event that the event's going to hit break even again this year, which is what we try to do, and put on a bigger and better show. There is a hackathon on the 2nd and 3rd and going into the 4th. So starting Saturday afternoon and ending Monday evening. It's going to be a 48-hour hackathon. The top 5 of the 50 projects there are going to get on stage. So you got a 10% chance of getting on stage.
And money.
And there'll be $50,000 in investment or 2 $10,000 prizes. So there's 2 $25,000 investments, one from Dharmesh, one from me, and then 2 $10,000. If you don't take the investment of $25,000, you can take $10,000 as a prize. $10,000 in prize money equals like $5,000 after you pay your taxes. $25,000 in investments equals $25,000. That you can put into the business. So you're probably going to want to take the investment. And plus, you'll get myself and Dharmesh on your, board of advisors and as investors who will help you grow the business. Also, those 5 people who are in the hackathon automatically get their team with that project or another project they come up with on stage the next year. So you're automatically getting into 2014, which is really awesome. Anything else we need to tell people about the Launch Festival?
The deadlines to apply next Friday, February 1st.
Is the deadline.
For the front door application.
For the front door application, on the front door. Now, if you know somebody and you're a VIP, you probably know somebody who knows me or knows you, and you can get in through that. So if you know somebody who knows me or knows you, that's always good to say, hey, look out for our application. But we have 500 applications we got to get through, so we got a lot of work to do, which means we're going to end this program. Thank you, Adeo. Thank you, Rafe. And Rafe, thanks for having that great studio. That's awesome there. I love it.
Yeah.
You put up some soundboard. I love the professionalism as opposed to Adeo, who's using a goddamn earpiece. I think this is going to be our new standard. If you want to be on the news program, you got to get a studio set up with that beautiful. What microphone is that? That's the.
That's a Rode. It's a Rode NT1. It's not bad. We got 4 of them here because we do our own podcasts as well. Yeah.
We'll see everybody next time on This Week in Startups. Bye bye.